Hello everyone, my name is Tasha and today I'm showing you the books that I read in the month of June. The first book I am going to talk about, I actually still read in May but just forgot to mention in my May wrap-up, and that book is Scarlet, a short story by Rachel Morgan, and this is part of the Creepy Hollow series, and it's about the character Scarlet who you meet in the 4th, 5th book. It's about how this character came to be who she is. She's kind of a villain in the series. I gave this book 2.5 stars. I wasn't the biggest fan of it. I didn't necessarily like this character in the actual series, the other books, so I wasn't really interested in this story and this character. Moving on to the first book I actually read in June, and that is I've Got Your Number by Sophie Kinsella. This was my first Sophie Kinsella book. I gave it 3.5 stars. I really enjoyed this book. It was so hilarious and really easy to read and just made me feel really good. The next book I read was The Ocean at the End of the Lane by Neil Gaiman. I actually already started this book this time last year. Must have been a year by now. And I got around 80 pages in and then put it down, and then it was in a box for like 8 months while I was in the UK. And just recently I picked it up again because I really needed to finish it. I did finish it. I didn't really enjoy it. I found it very confusing and very dense to get, even though it's not very long, it just took me so long to get through. And I'm not saying that this is a bad book. Neil Gaiman is a great author, I mean. But this just wasn't my kind of book, so I gave it 2 stars. Another book that took me way too long to read is A Court of Mist and Fury by Sarah J. Maas. I'm sure you've all seen this in everyone's TBRs and wrap-ups. I started this book right when it came out in May, and then I put it on hold for various reasons that I don't want to get into now. And then sometime in June I picked it back up again, because I didn't want this on hold for too long and I just wanted to be done with it. I'm sure some of you have already seen my Goodreads review of this. I gave this book 2.5 stars, which is a very controversial rating. The thing is, in general, I'm not a big fan of Sarah J. Maas's books. I've said that about a few Throne of Glass books. I read up until Air of Fire, and I've now decided not to continue the series because I'm not really enjoying it and I don't want to force myself to read it. I don't want to talk about this book for too long. The things I didn't like are the writing, first and foremost. The writing, I don't like it. I'm sorry if she's your favorite author, but I really don't like her writing. For a majority of this book, I didn't like Feyre. I found her annoying, although I did like her character development. The way she acts in the beginning of the book does make sense considering what happened at the end of the first book, though I did still find her annoying at times. I did like the way her character developed throughout this book, and towards the end of the book there were a few more scenes in which I liked Feyre, but I still found her choices and some things she said incredibly annoying. I'm sorry, I really didn't like Feyre. My favorite thing about this book was probably Rhysand. Thank God for Rhysand, because otherwise I don't think I would have made it through this book. Even though I felt like he was written in a way that I was kind of forced to love him, I still loved him, obviously, like mostly everyone else who read this book. But yes, I feel like I did go on a ramble with this book. I gave it 2.5 stars. It's definitely not my favorite book, but I will still read the next book, which is hopefully the last in this series. If you want to know more of my thoughts on this book, I will leave my Goodreads review down below because I go a bit more in depth in that. Then the TBR Takedown 4.0 readathon happened. I already did a wrap-up for this, which I will link down below. I already talked about all the books I read in this, but I will shortly go through them again. The first book I finished was When We Collided by Emery Lord, which I gave 4.5 stars. Then I read The Bone Season by Samantha Shannon. I also gave this 4.5 stars. And then I read The Austere Academy by Lemony Snicket, book 5 in the series of unfortunate events. I gave this one 2 stars. And I read The Ersatz Elevator, also by Lemony Snicket, book 6 in the series of unfortunate events, and I gave this one 3 stars. And a book I had started during the readathon but didn't finish was Captive Prince by C.S. Pacat. I don't have any notes on this, crap. I'm sure a lot of you have already heard about this book. It's been getting a lot of hype. Not as much on BookTube, but a lot on Tumblr. And a lot of people have been recommending this book to me, especially some people saying since I loved the Foxhole Court so much, I would probably enjoy this book. So obviously I was very intrigued, but unfortunately I really didn't like this book. If you don't know what this book is about, in Captive Prince we follow Damon. Damianos is his actual name. I'm just gonna call him Damon because that's easier to pronounce. He is a prince, but he has been like dethroned and he was sent to a different kingdom as a slave, in particular as a pleasure slave. And no one in this different kingdom knows who he actually is. This other prince who then goes on and has Damon, the main character, raped and abused and whatnot. And there's a lot of political stuff going on. Before I went into this book, I already knew that basically everyone ships Damon and what's his name? Prince Laurent? I'm gonna call him Laurent. Everyone ships these two, so I was expecting like a romance kind of thing, and on the back of this book, right here, it says romance, and on Goodreads it's classified as romance, so I was expecting romance. This book was filled with rape and abuse and manipulation, which I wouldn't mind, but it's between these two characters, mostly Laurent towards Damon. I do not see the appeal in it. I have been told that it gets better in the next few books, but after everything that has happened in this book, I really don't see myself shipping these two after what happened. Whatever happens does not excuse what happened in this book, in my opinion. I don't want to judge the other 2 books because I haven't read them, but from this book, I really don't see the appeal between Damon and Laurent. Really, I didn't like either of them. I found them very, like, the opposite of complex. Not that I would be able to connect with these kind of characters, but I didn't really care about them. The world didn't grip me, and I found the plot incredibly boring. I just found this entire book boring, and except for the shocking moments when someone was raped or abused, but I have to say it was easy to get through. Like, it was a quick read, but apart from that, there's barely anything I enjoyed about this book, so I only gave this 2 stars, though I have been thinking about lowering my rating to 1.5 stars. I will say there are parts of me that are a bit curious about how this would continue since everyone ships Laurent and Damon, so maybe at some point in the future I will pick up the other book, at least the second one, but right now at this moment I have no interest in continuing this series. And the last book I read in the month of June is Adulthood is a Myth by Sarah Anderson. This book is a collection of comics by Sarah Anderson. When I saw this title in the bookstore, I knew I had to have this book. I flipped through it and I fell in love. This is very short and I still can't believe I paid 15 euro for this. This was just so hilarious and I connected with so many comics. I was about to say comments. Yeah, this was really fun. I enjoyed it and I gave it 4 stars because since it is so short and they're just comic scribbles, I didn't feel like there was enough depth to them to give them a full 5 stars. As always, I would love to know if you have read any of these books and did you like them or not like them. Tell me down below in the comments. And that was it for this video, and I will see you next time. Bye!